Hi guys, if you clicked on this video, then chances are that you have several very important goals lined up this year that you want to achieve. And some of those goals might take the form of personal projects. And what I mean by personal projects is anything ranging from renovating your house to designing an app, going back to school, moving countries, and other things. And here in this video today, I want to share with you a method that has personally been useful to me that I use before I tackle big projects. And if you follow this method, I will assure you that you will have the confidence to finally start tackling those projects and not postponing them further to a later point in time or even next year. The reason why most people postpone their projects and don't get started is because they either feel like they don't have the time to think about how to do it, or they are simply confused where to start, or they might simply be really intimidated or afraid to start. And I totally get that, because every time when I start working on a big project but I'm not actually already working on it, I have this fear about whether I can pull it off or not, whether it will be worth my time, and if I have the resources and all the other things. So the reason is that before we actually get into it and start something, that thing, that goal, that project can seem like a black box to us. It feels mysterious and unknown, and we don't really know what to think about it. So the solution to this is that before you start any project, you need to try to answer 7 basic questions. And what I would recommend you to do is grab a piece of paper. In fact, just pause this video now and write down your answers to these 7 questions while watching this video. And I will assure you that it will not take you a lot of time, and you will be able to fit everything briefly on this one sheet of paper. And I will promise you that by the end of this video, after you answered these 7 questions, you will have the confidence to start your project and not postpone it any further. And before I start, in case you're new to this channel, I make videos about career change, motivation, and other things that will help you to work on the important things in your life. So if you have a lot of big goals you want to achieve in 2020, especially related to career change, then this channel is for you, and you might want to consider subscribing now. And also don't forget to hit the little notification bell. The first question that you have to ask yourself is, why am I working on this particular project? Why this project and not some other project? Because I'm pretty sure that most of us don't only have one goal, but we have a lot of goals. There are so many things that we want to do, and they might be related to your career or your family or working on your hobby. But the thing is that time is a limited resource. So every time that you choose to work on one thing, you say yes to one thing. For example, working on starting your new business. At the same time, that also means that you are saying no to working on another thing or spending time with your family or your kids. And that is why it is really important that you know the reason why you are making this a priority. And coming up with your purpose is not just a fancy word. The significance of knowing your purpose is that when you're actually working on the project, there will be times when you face challenges, when you get demotivated, where you get distracted. And then that time you need to remind yourself, why did I start this at all? Like, what was my purpose in the beginning? And if that is clear to you, if you know why this is important to you, then it will be very easy for you to get back on track. When I started making YouTube videos, I asked myself, what is my purpose? Why am I spending so much time and effort doing this? And the answer was that I wanted to improve my skill to produce short form content, as opposed to, for example, just becoming YouTube famous. And what this does for me, knowing this purpose, is that every time when I get a bit tired, frustrated, or demotivated, which does happen, for example, if my YouTube channel doesn't grow as fast as I hoped it would, then I can remind myself that, okay, that is not my actual purpose. My purpose is not that I want to become famous quickly by making YouTube videos, but my actual purpose is that I want to improve my skill, my ability to produce the content itself. And the second question that you have to ask yourself is, who needs to be involved? When you work on a project, usually there are other people involved, and these people might be directly involved in your project. For example, when I produced my first feature film, I needed a team of producers and also crew members who helped me to make my goal of making a film become reality. But then there are also other people who are not directly involved, working hands-on your project, but who serve as mentors and advisors. And believe me, you will need these people. The larger the project and the more challenging it is, the more important it is that you have access to someone or several people who you can rely on to get advice or to be your mentor or just offer you some support, some emotional support. In any project, there will be times when you feel that things are getting tough and you need someone to talk to. So before you even start, list down, think of the name of the people who you think that you want to be involved in your project, either directly or indirectly. The third question that you need to ask yourself is, what is the scope of the personal project? And what this means is that you simply list down the things that are included in your project, the things that you want to do. And at the same time, that also means that you have clearly defined the things that you will not do. For example, let's say that your project is to renovate your house. You need to ask yourself, does that include changing the whole plumbing system and installing perhaps a solar panel system on the roof and changing the whole kitchen cabinet? Or does it simply include repainting the kitchen cabinets and perhaps the bedroom and changing some tiles in the bathroom? Because those are two completely different things. And the benefit of doing this, once you've defined it clearly, is that it takes out the mystery of the project. Suddenly it becomes very clear. Question number 4 is, how will you carry out this project and what are the most important tools and resources that you need? Most people don't get their project started because they don't really have an idea of what to do. And as always, everything that is unknown can feel kind of scary. So if this project were to cook a dish, then number 4 would be answering the question, what is the recipe? What kind of ingredients do I need to prepare beforehand? What are the steps that I need to take? And what kind of kitchen equipment, what kind of tools do I need to actually cook the dish? And after you list down all the things, these resources, tools, and the steps that you need to take, you will either find that, oh my gosh, this is like too overwhelming. This is like too many things that I need to do. I don't think that I can handle that. That is a sign that you might need to go back to number 3 and look at the scope of your project. If you feel that the project is too large, too overwhelming, too much for you to handle, then you might need to consider to reduce the scope or break up the project into several phases. But you also might find out another thing. You might also find out that, oh, it seems that it's not as difficult, it's not as complicated as you thought. It doesn't need that many resources and it's actually not that hard. And that might give you the motivation to actually get it started now. Question number 5 is, when will you start your project and for how long will you work on it? If you really want to make sure that you achieve your goal this year and not postpone it any longer, then pick a date right now. Pick a kickoff date, put it in your calendar, and really treat it as a commitment. And you also need to come up with a basic timeline where you note down your basic milestones. Of course, it's really difficult to know for sure how long the whole project will take, and it's very likely that along the way you will need to adjust the timeline. But it's still better to have a timeline than none at all. And the reason is because without a timeline, without planning or having a goal of how long you want to work on it, chances are that you will be dragging it out. Having a timeline will make it easier to work more efficiently on it. And at the same time, by roughly estimating how much time the whole thing will take, this will also help to manage your expectations and keep you motivated. It will prevent you from asking yourself all the time, when will I finish? When will this be done? Because you have a clear timeline. You know that this thing is going to take you 3 more months or 5 more months until you are finished. Question number 6 is, what is your budget and how are you going to finance your project? Or in other words, where is the money that you need going to come from? As a rule of thumb, the larger the project and the more complex it is, the more thorough you will need to plan your budget. But for now, let's just make a very rough estimate, because having some kind of budget is better than none at all. So grab your piece of paper and start listing down what the expenses for your projects might be and how much you will roughly spend on it. And let's say that after listing this down, you will come up with a total sum of, let's say, $1,200. Having this concrete number allows you to make a decision. You could decide to not start the project at all, because while this thing is really important to you, you might compare it to the sum of 1,200 and tell yourself, I don't think it's that worth after all. It's quite a lot of money after all. Question number 7 is, what are the risks of the project? The reason why many people don't start their projects is because they are secretly afraid of how it might turn out or what they might encounter along the way. And they might ask themselves questions like, what if I fail? What if I lose money? What if it doesn't work out? What about my reputation? Or what if I embarrass myself? And as long as you don't answer these questions that are bugging you, then you will not be able to start your project. So a very important step is that you need to, as quickly as possible, get past this stage. And you do this by listing down all the risks that are known to you. For example, you might identify that there is a risk of losing money. So in this case, you need to ask yourself, what is the likely case? Like, how much money am I likely to lose if this project fails? Or what is the worst case scenario? In the very worst case, how much would I lose? So in the earlier example where our budget was $1,200, the worst case scenario might be that you would lose $1,200 or whatever you spend on that project. And knowing about this risk, then you can make an informed decision and ask yourself again, knowing that this risk exists, that I might lose these $1,200, do I want to proceed with this project nevertheless? Is it still worth it? Is it worth taking this risk? And at this point, I want to remind ourselves and also remind myself that anything in our lives that is worthwhile usually has some amount of risk. So risk is not something that is bad per se. It is not something to be totally avoided. Risk is something that needs to be identified and managed. So once you've identified this, you might feel more confident because you have more knowledge, you are more familiar about the worst case that could happen if you pursue this project, and that will hopefully motivate you to get started. Once you've answered these 7 questions, then you have a basic summary of your personal project, and it will be likely that then you will feel more confident to finally start. By the way, please share with me in the comments what your personal project is that you want to pursue this year. And in case you've already tried this method, please also share with me if it was effective, if answering these 7 questions have inspired you to finally start your project. If you enjoyed this video, then please hit the like button and share it with your friends. That would mean a lot to me. And if you want to continue to get more videos like this from me, please also don't forget to hit the subscribe button and also the little alarm bell so that YouTube will actually let you know when there are new videos from me. As always, I thank you so much for watching, and I hope to catch you again soon.